Hey guys, I want to show you in this next video how you can start to have a configuration for your application, particularly around values that you don't want to store inside of Git. Okay, so for most web applications that are public, you want to have some kind of analytics on your application, like Google Analytics or maybe something more in depth. You also want to have API keys for services that you use, and you don't want to put those inside of Git. You want those to remain private. So on your local development box, you'll have a little system for how to get that information into your application. And then when we go to production, we'll show you how to set those environment variables in a different way. But I am here on this .env GitHub page here, and this is a Ruby gem that allows us to store environment variables in a way where we won't put it inside of our GitHub account. So I'm going to just go to my gem file. I'm going to go to this development test group, and I'm just going to say add this gem. Add this gem to the application. So now I can come back over here. I can say bundle install. That will install that .env. Here's the actual gem there, .env 2.7. And so now what I can do is I can come over to the root of my application, and I'm going to control click, say new file, and create a file called .env. Okay, great. So now we have this new file here. I'm just going to say ignore extension. And there's a couple environment variables that I want to go ahead and set up. Now these are for future videos, but I want to go ahead and start to show you like the kinds of things that we're going to need. So the first one I want to add here is a Google Tag Manager account ID. Now this isn't a real Google Tag Manager account ID, but this is going to allow us to put Google Analytics inside of our application without necessarily telling the whole world what our Google Tag Manager account ID is. One other thing that I want us to do is we're going to make it so that we can send email from our application. That's super important. I'll put the same thing there. These aren't real values, but we can go in and fill them in with real values at some point in the future. But now, once we have these values here, I want them to be different because I'm just going to print these out to the screen. So I'm just going to come into my config, my environments, my development. All of this will run, this file will run whenever we run start our application. So I'm just going to say put s, what was our other thing, Google account ID. And I'm just going to make it easy for us to see this. And now I'm just going to rerun our application. The server's running over here. I'm going to kill that. I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to just run it again. Okay, cool. So we'll delete this. I'm only doing this just to kind of show you how it works. But now, whenever our application boots up, it's going to read this. Now, this is what the .env gem does for us. We didn't have to write a bunch of code to do this. The .env gem will read your .env file, and it'll stuff it into this bag of properties that is this env here. If we want to just learn more about that, we could say env.class.name. I'm pretty sure that's just going to be a hash, but let's just check it out and see. Okay, it's saying that it's an object, so that's interesting. Let's say env.inspect. That's a way to just spew out everything that's inside of that object to a string. I'm going to clear the screen and run that one more time. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of information in here, and this is a very hash-like object. You know, I think it's reasonable to say this is a hash. I'm not sure why it's reporting object when we say that, but these brackets here are kind of the nomenclature or the syntax of how we would see a hash or a hash table or a hash map. A lot of different ways you can describe this, and it's also an object as well. But anyways, that's everything that's in here, and the thing that's important to us are these last couple things that were stuffed in by our system. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. We don't want this really in our code, but I wanted to show you kind of how that works. And now, as we build out our application, we can put a bunch of new environment variables in here, and we'll definitely use these in some future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and get some configuration in your app, yo. See ya.